I believe the form and function is fundamental for children because it's what makes everything in their life work. It's why we have two eyes in front of our heads as opposed to on the side like horses do, because of the way we live our lives versus the way horses lead their lives. Today what we're going to do is study some of the structures of the crayfish. Let's start down at the tail. As you can see, the tail is not very smooth down there, is it? Can you see up on the screen? Now remember, you're going to be drawing this for me later, so I want you to take some really good observations. That's from the bottom of the tail. From the top of the tail, it looks like this. And later on, you'll have a chance to feel that these little spikes are really very smooth. They're very feathery, like hairs. It's important for students to understand that there's a reason that crayfish are able to protect themselves by scooting backwards if a predator is expecting them to go forwards, and that a fiddler crab is going to move to the side rather than backwards for other reasons that are particular to its environment. Let's look at the ends of their legs. Can you see the little ragged edges on the ends of the claws, on the ends of the legs? They do use these claws to pick things up. When we're studying different structures of life, I think it's important to start with one creature, really take some time, make some gross observations about the general lifestyle of that creature before you move into looking at the specific structures that that creature has. Then, as you're continuing to increase your knowledge on the first creature, introduce the second creature. Again, start with the gross observations and then bring it down to the hand lens and then eventually microscopic to really see the structures up close and personal. Now we're going to compare this crayfish to a fiddler crab. And one of the things that I like to watch best on the fiddler crab, what do you think that is, guys? Lucy? His eye. Does he have a longer eye stalk, or a shorter eye stalk than the crayfish? Trevor?
A longer.
A longer one. And what's the advantage of that? In this lesson, the microscope helps me to allow the students to really see the bristles on the legs that they really cannot see with just a hand lens, and realize that just like we feel things all up and down our arms, so do they, even though they have that hard exoskeleton that you wouldn't think would do your feeling. You've got all those little bristles there to help you feel. And this is important if you live in murky water and you can't always see what you're brushing up against. Can you see the little hairs protruding from that eye stalk? Why do you think he would have hairs protruding from his eye stalk like that? Kate?
Feel things.
To feel things. He wants to be able to feel, because he's not going to be able to see right down his eye stalk, just like you have certain blind spots. And he wants to be able to feel if his eye is going to bump up into anything important that might hurt him. I've just upped the magnification so we can see the eye stalk in a higher power. Where are you? There you are. And you can see those lights from the microscope being reflected in his eye, right back at us. Teach them to look for details and to relate the details to another person, both orally and in writing. The legs of the crayfish ended in two claws, like this. The legs on the fiddler crab end in what? Nicole? A point. It comes to like one big claw. And this has to do with the difference in how they move, which we can put them on the floor a little bit later and let you see. We were concentrating on how their eyes are different and how the stalks are different and how that might affect their range of vision. And here we have another animal whose eyes are also on stalks. These stalks are very flexible. Can you see that little black dot at the end of the stalk? That's his eye. And you can see he's just moving it all over the place. Now, judging from just the size of the eye at the end of this stalk versus the size of the eye at the end of the crustacean stalk, who do you think can see better? Nicole? The crustaceans, exactly. I'll show you again on the crayfish the size of his eye. He's got the biggest one of all, doesn't he? And we're going to talk about how that's going to affect what he needs to look at in his environment and how well he's going to be able to see it. If they understand that there's a reason that things are the way they are, instead of just accepting it as that's the way the world is, it makes them become questioners, it stimulates their curiosity, it makes them inquisitive learners, and then again, you're creating more of a lifelong learner, which is what our goal is as teachers.